Recently divorced, LAPD homicide detective Dawn Reeve wakes up to the videotaped footage of Rodney King being beaten by LAPD officers. Her mother, Athena, and her son Kel wish her a happy birthday. She arrives at a crime scene of Bernice Mott, a foster mom. Dawn discovers Bernice Mott in a mangled position under the sink, with her entire body twisted in unnatural ways. Meanwhile, Edmund listens to self-help audio tapes before donning on his pig costume at his day job for children. Dawn gets partnered with McKinney on the Bernice Mott murder, to her disappointment. McKinney tries his best to pin the murders on the foster teen, but Dawn protects him. Edmund goes to his audition, where he does a terrible job at acting gangster. They tell him he's acting too white. Meanwhile, the cameraman can't keep a straight face. At the front desk, he flirts with Rhonda and invites her and her son to Chuck E. Cheese. He stays in the parking lot all day. Once the cameraman comes out, he recites his lines and says he wants to F him up. Rhonda eventually brings her son to Edmund's workplace, where Edmund shows he's really good with kids. Rhonda comments about how the only roles available for black men are drug dealers or gangbangers. They eventually exchange numbers. Later on, Edmund goes into his closet, which is filled with costumes, and grabs a Raggedy Andy doll. There is history of the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls being racist because they were babysat by their stereotyped mammy doll, Belindy. Dawn and McKinney find another dead black woman who may or may not be connected to their case. Dawn thinks it's racially motivated. In the crowd, she spots a suspicious man that she decides to chase after. The chase ends with him just trying to protect his baby. McKinney ends up beating him up because of all the drugs around the house. Dawn eventually calms him down from his rage. Meanwhile, Edmund is suffocating himself with a plastic bag. Rhonda eventually rings him and says there's a role of a serial killer available in which he gets excited for. Back to the suspicious father, he ends up cooking some drugs with his child in the living room. The police bang on the door and he rushes to flush all the drugs before they break in. Unfortunately, it was all in his head. When he goes back into his room, he gets snapped and cracked like Bernice Mott. The next morning, Dawn investigates what happened. The man's mother says the devil himself visited the apartment. Dawn sees the man's body all mangled up. McKinney doesn't think it's a serial killer per se, but has to do with Malcolm, the black foster teenager they interviewed. Dawn has to constantly deal with racism in the workplace and grows frustrated that there is no urgency since the victims are black. On her way out, she sees a wall of forgotten black female victims. When she goes home, her son, Kel, is frustrated about the news about Rodney King. Dawn admits that she only became a cop to prevent things like this. Elsewhere, Edmund is having a movie marathon on all the different killers. He starts to dress up to get into different characters. He grabs his leather mask and really gets into character by painting his face. He puts a pantyhose on and screams. In the middle of the night, Kel starts to hallucinate and sees his mom smiling creepily at him, but no one is there. He sees that his face is deformed on the TV screen. The next day, Edmund grabs a knife from the kitchen and starts walking creepily around the arcade. Everyone begins to panic. Eventually, his boss snaps him out of it and fires Edmund on the spot. The crowd stares at him in panic, but Edmund starts to smile and feels alive while holding the knife. In her toy store, Athena finds some Raggedy Andy dolls, and she almost gets hypnotized into slicing her hand. But she snaps out of it, so she tosses those evil things. Later at night, Rhonda goes over to Edmund's for a date night. Edmund says he quit his job to focus on acting. Rhonda mentions she loves her job and co-workers, including Donovan, the camera assistant. This triggers Edmund to leave the room. When he returns, he scares Rhonda with his mask and knife. Rhonda begs him to stop. Edmund removes his mask and says Rhonda did great on the improv exercise. Rhonda is relieved and immediately leaves while Edmund laughs hysterically. "Yeah, F the heck out there real quick, sis." Dawn gets a call and told there were 2 murders of twin Asian girls. There's video footage of the twins talking about the man with the red hair. They were both mangled up as well. Meanwhile, Edmund grows a little mad while watching Charles Manson's interview, repeating exactly what he says in the interview. Edmund begins to slice his thigh and shakes vigorously. McKinney decides to threaten Dawn's son by threatening to take him in for weed. Later, Rhonda spots Edmund coming into the audition office with his scary costume. He smiles creepily in the hallway where a man asks him to leave the office. He gets pushed aside, and Edmund enters the audition room. However, he's told that he can't read for the serial killer. Rhonda looks scared, and Donovan tries to protect her, but fails. Edmund screams at Rhonda before he leaves in a panic. Dawn finds out that McKinney threatened her son. Dawn finally realizes that McKinney might have caused all the murders since he's the redhead that the twin Asian girls spoke about in their video. We find out that Edmund's audio tapes he's been listening to are actually authored by his adopted father. He confronts his family during his dad's book signing event, but no one in his family want to interact with him. Even his mom adopted another black child. Edmund vents to his father for a terrible upbringing and why he was left on his 12th birthday. His father admits that they tried really hard to help Edmund and his terrible anger issues. Plus, he wanted to protect his biological daughter, Lacey, from Edmund's growing hormones. Edmund cries as his father tells him to seek help. Dawn sneakily interviews McKinney's wife to figure out if he's responsible for the recent murders. She tells her coworker about this, and Joaquin tells Dawn that McKinney was involved in another racist incident in the past. Through a past murder of a black man, she finds out a past officer left the force because of McKinney. Meanwhile, Edmund picks up a hooker. She tries to initiate dirty time, but Edmund gets mad at her, saying she's nothing but a traumatized child. He questions her if her parents know what she does. He continually degrades her and grabs her arm. She tries to calm him down, however, Edmund pushes her. Thankfully, a cop spots them and stops anything else from happening. They find the pig mask in his trunk. They interrogate him to figure out if he's the South Side Slayer, someone who has killed 16 prostitutes so far. This intrigues Edmund, and he starts to smile creepily. He starts to recite his lines from his serial killer audition to the detectives, thus making them realize he is not the South Side Slayer, he's just a washed-up actor. They say he's a nobody, and this deeply makes Edmund frustrated. Dawn follows McKinney, but gets caught. A huge group of white men surround her. Dawn tells him to stay away from her family. McKinney lets her go, but she realizes that McKinney isn't the killer. He's just been hanging with his KKK members. In Donovan's home, Edmund decides to make a mess. Then he takes a dookie without flushing. He watches an old home video of Donovan's birthday where his mom wishes him a happy birthday. Meanwhile, Athena finds Dawn in the bathtub, and she calls her a terrible mother. Dawn smiles at her creepily, then Athena realizes it was all in her head. Then, Edmund tackles Donovan down and bags him. He gets lucky that Donovan runs into a pole, and Edmund stuffs him in his car. When Dawn arrives home, Athena breaks the news to Dawn that she was adopted. She receives info on her actual birth mother. Dawn is devastated. Then, Donovan realizes he's been kidnapped by Edmund. He begs Edmund to let him go. However, Edmund recreates his childhood birthday. Then creepily recites Donovan's home video while it plays in the background. Edmund forces Donovan to act out the role of his younger self. In a mocking way, Edmund criticizes Donovan's acting. Edmund starts to laugh and cry as he starts to untie Donovan. However, he breaks Donovan's hand. Donovan screams in agony and tackles him. Edmund gets the upper hand and breaks his leg. Edmund opens the trunk of his car to let Donovan crawl in pain. Donovan screams and begs for his life, but Edmund smacks him with the shovel. Meanwhile, Joaquin tells Dawn there was an exorcism being done on a boy who says he sees a red-haired man outside his window. They go to investigate. The boy's family refuses to talk to them, but Benito, the boy, says he's afraid of the red-haired man. Edmund rushes to go back home. He finds comfort in his Raggedy Andy doll. He gets a call about tracking his long-lost biological sister, so he drives there to meet her. He gets invited into the house by Dawn's ex-husband. And this is where we find out that the entire story that is unfolding isn't on the same timeline. Edmund meets his sister Dawn, but at this time Dawn is still married and unaware that she's adopted. It's 1989. Edmund gets a little spooked when he learns that Dawn is a cop, and he starts to get nervous. Edmund gets a little jealous when he realizes that Dawn grew up with a loving family and had a good upbringing. Terrified, he leaves without telling Dawn the truth about being siblings, and Dawn threatens to arrest him if he ever returns. He goes back home to record a rant about how jealous he is of Dawn's life. Then he removes his Raggedy Andy's hair. A voice in his head tells him he's nothing. Meanwhile, Benito experiences a seizure while those around him perform an exorcism. She decides to grab the boy to rush him to the hospital. While she's driving, Benito's limbs are snapped and broken. By the time she reaches the hospital, his body is mangled, and he's dead. A recording of Edmund plays, saying he will break all of her favorite toys. The next day, Dawn gets reprimanded for her actions the previous night because it looks like she killed Benito. Dawn is detained for the possible murder of Benito. She realizes the cop detaining her is the same cop that called her a black bitch a few days ago. Meanwhile, Athena refuses to sell the Raggedy Andy dolls because they're racist. The owner fires Athena on the spot. During her questioning, Dawn realizes that the men interrogating her are the same men she saw at McKinney's in their KKK meeting. The white cops all around her are elated that they can pin these recent murders on a black woman. They use Dawn's recent violent attack on a black man against her. In turn, Kel's friends hear about the news about Dawn killing a child. His own friends berate and tease him. During class, he hears a deep voice coming from the lion mascot. He's forced to follow the orders of the voice, and everyone in class looks at him weirdly. Dawn takes a lie detector test to determine if she killed Benito. During the test, they question her if she grew up in Bernice Mott's foster home. She realizes that she did, and her mom lied to her. At dinner, Dawn confronts Athena about all her lies. Then Kel gets upset at his mom for being an absent mother. At his show, Kel performs, but then starts to hallucinate the red-haired man. He sees the red-haired man walking towards him. Eventually grabbing him, Dawn runs towards him to get him to snap out of it. Back at home, Kel tells his mom about the red-haired man. Later, the red-haired man visits Kel again and crawls to his bed. In a delusional state, Kel starts to remove string out of his mouth. Afterwards, Kel tells Dawn that one of them is going to die tonight. Meanwhile, Athena finds a Raggedy Andy doll in the basement. She runs upstairs and tells Dawn that someone is in the house. Dawn grabs her gun to look, but only finds a recorder in a loop repeating, "Imaginary friend." Eventually, Dawn confronts Athena again about her foster parent, Bernice Mott. Athena caves and tells her about her twin brother, Edmund. After Athena's husband died, it was difficult for her to handle Edmund and his tantrums. She decided to send him back to Bernice's foster home. After that, Athena convinced young Dawn that Edmund was never real. He was just her imaginary friend. Dawn calls her partner, Joaquin, to ask to help locate Edmund. Joaquin says she can tell her where he's buried as he died a while ago. In the middle of the night, Athena gets an ominous threatening call to go to the store if she wants her family to live. Inside the store, she calls for Edmund to leave her family alone. Edmund haunts her and makes her husband appear. The room goes red, and Edmund appears in front of her, tackling her down. Edmund says it's Athena's fault that his foster mom hurt him. Eventually, Edmund slices her head off. Dawn hears the news of her mother and goes to the scene of the crime. She's devastated seeing her mom's head. Eventually, she faints. In the past, Edmund sees a red-haired man laughing at him as the cops bang on his door. The creature tells Edmund to submit himself to him, and so Edmund slices his throat, as the red-hair man does the same gesture. Later, Dawn's ex-husband comes home to support the family in their time of crisis. Joaquin visits Dawn as well. They go over the evidence thus far. Dawn discloses to Joaquin that her brother is trying to communicate with her through the afterlife. However, Joaquin passes on this information to McKinney, making McKinney reaffirm that Dawn is psychotic and possibly the killer. All the past killings are all connected to her. Dawn gets more evidence from Joaquin. She watches his audition tape, then realizes that was the same guy that came to her house 2 years ago. He complains on camera about what their foster mom used to do to them in a box. He comes on screen with the Raggedy Andy hair wig. Then, McKinney surprises them, ready to arrest Dawn for the murders. He says this is why their type of people should never be cops because they go on power trips. Dawn complies, but McKinney still beats her up. Joaquin tries to protect Dawn, but McKinney shoots him. Eventually, Dawn is able to shoot McKinney dead. Meanwhile, back at the house, weird noises haunt Kel and his father. He goes upstairs to see the hallway filled with red string. He gets caught in it, and Edmund drags him away. Kel is then captured by Edmund, and Dawn discovers all of this. She rushes to the foster home and looks for her son. She experiences the past sequence of Bernice threatening Edmund and Dawn. They hide under the sink where Bernice's body was discovered before. Suddenly, Edmund drags her out. In another flashback, we see Ruby Emery leaving twins at the orphanage. She says her past left her traumatized and she hasn't been the same since. She leaves baby Edmund and Dawn with Bernice. And she gives them Raggedy dolls as well. If you watched season 1, you'll know who this character is. Dawn is locked inside a box, and Edmund helps his sister even though he gets in trouble for it. The redhead Edmund tells Dawn that she's going to join him so they can be together again. Dawn tells Edmund that she just recently learned the truth, and in doing so, it mangles Edmund's spirit body apart. Edmund is back in his regular form and cries. Dawn tells him she loves him, and thus eventually killing him once and for all. She eventually finds Kel in the closet and they reunite. Later, Dawn lets the rest of the LAPD listen in on the conversation minutes before McKinney tried to arrest her. They hear McKinney beating up Dawn and admitting to wrongdoings. Dawn is cleared on any suspicion on the murder of McKinney, and the LAPD are made to think that McKinney was responsible for all the recent killings. Dawn's boss says he can't offer her old detective job anymore, but can offer her a desk job. In response, Dawn is about to speak, but F the Police music by NWA starts playing and Dawn walks away. 6 months later, and the family is together once again. Later, Dawn looks at an old box of memories in her mother's closet. She finds a photo of her mom's family, the family from season 1. Then suddenly, someone starts to walk up the stairs. It's none other than a black-faced man known as the Tap Dance Man. The season ends like that, so we might get more answers in the next season.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.